What's up, guys? It is currently March 9th, and I'm recording this at about 5 o'clock Eastern Time. So, just before the games on today are going to continue, I am recording my predictions for every conference tournament bracket, and I'll be doing this every day going forward until all the tournaments are completed. And then, obviously, when we have March Madness coming up. So, how this works is this website, Odds Gods, they do a phenomenal job here in terms of creating a percentage as to like what chance each team has to win that conference. And as you fill out each bracket and each game, let's say, it'll adjust these percentages. So it's a very cool website. I suggest checking it out. But how this is going to work here, there are a lot of games and a lot of tournaments. Some of them already completed the conferences. Some of them, a few games are in. So this is pretty much up to date. So I'll be making my predictions. And I'll enjoy you guys following along. I hope you guys enjoy. And let's get right to it. I'm not going to take too long on these games because there are a lot to get through. So without further ado, let's get started with Kentucky beating LSU, Auburn beating Mississippi State, Texas beating Ole Miss. I think Texas is a little bit of an underrated team in this tournament. Oklahoma beating South Carolina, Kentucky beating Missouri, Tennessee beating Auburn. I don't think Auburn's going to get a spot in the March Madness bracket, but hey, who knows? The committee, we don't know what they're going to do, especially if Miami, Ohio loses in their conference. That could steal a spot from a team like Auburn. Texas beating Georgia. Like I said, Texas, I think, can make a little bit of a run here. A&M beating Oklahoma. I got Florida beating Kentucky, although I think Kentucky can make some noise in that type of game, but we'll see how it plans out. Tennessee upsetting, a little bit of an upset over Vanderbilt. I don't think it's an upset, but I got Tennessee upsetting Vanderbilt. Bama beating Texas here. Arkansas beating A&M. Then I got Arkansas beating Bama, and then Florida beating Tennessee, and then Florida taking home the SEC championship. Moving on to the Big Ten, we got Oregon versus Maryland in the first game. I am going to take Maryland here. A little bit shocking, but they're not going to get very far. Let's put it that way anyway. Northwestern beating Penn State. Iowa beating Maryland. And as you guys can see, as I make my predictions here, the odds for all these teams change as it goes along. So it's pretty cool to follow. I know USC just lost their player in Baker Mazar, but I am still going to take USC in this game here. Indiana beating Northwestern. Indiana is the type of team that needs to make a little bit of a run here in order to hopefully get a spot in the March Madness bracket, but we'll see how they do against a team like Purdue. Next up, Minnesota beating Rutgers. I have Ohio State beating Iowa. I know it's easy to pick Ohio State right now because they've been very hot, but I do think they're a very dangerous team. I got Wisconsin beating USC and Purdue knocking out Indiana, and I think that might be the final blow to Indiana. But like I said, with Auburn, who knows what they'll do. UCLA beating Minnesota. I got Michigan State beating Ohio State, Illinois beating Wisconsin, Purdue beating Nebraska here, and I have Michigan State beating UCLA. Michigan beating Illinois, and then Purdue beating Michigan State, and then Michigan taking home the Big Ten championship. Here now we have Big 12. So first game, Cincinnati against Utah. I think it's pretty obvious to go Cincinnati here. I am going to take Arizona State against Baylor, BYU against Kansas State, and Colorado versus Oklahoma State. I'm not that big on UCF, so here I will be taking Cincinnati. I will be taking Iowa State, BYU here, and TCU. Then in the next round, the quarterfinals, I'll be taking Arizona, Iowa State. Texas Tech has still been playing good without their star JT Toppin, but I think a team like Iowa State is just too much for them to handle. Houston over BYU, and I am going to pick Kansas over TCU. Although I do think TCU is a sneaky team here to upset a team like Kansas, especially if Darren Peterson's not playing. As we all know, not surprised there. Then Arizona beating Iowa State, and then Houston taking down Kansas, and then Houston beating Arizona in the Big 12 tournament. In the ACC, I got Pittsburgh beating Stanford. I got Virginia Tech beating Wake Forest, and I'm going to take SMU. Although Syracuse, I think they might be able to win this game, but neither of them are going to beat Louisville here. And then I got Clemson beating Virginia Tech pretty easily, NC State winning here, and then Florida State. And then I have Duke winning, obviously. I got UNC winning, even without Caleb Wilson, but you know what? Let's give it to Clemson. I think Clemson can actually make a pretty good run here in this tournament. Here I'm going to pick NC State. I'm not high on Virginia at all. I'm going to take Louisville here as well. And then here I'm going to take Louisville. And here I will be taking Duke. And then obviously, I think most of us have this Duke winning the ACC. In the Big East, I'm going to take Providence, Marquette, and DePaul. I'll be taking St. John's, Seton Hall, Connecticut. And I'm going to have a little bit of an upset here, going with DePaul over Villanova. I'm not high on Villanova at all. Then I got St. John's and UConn, and then UConn winning the Big East. Then we have the Mountain West Conference. This is a very interesting conference here. You have a couple of teams in San Diego State and New Mexico that need to make a little bit of a run here, at least to this, ideally they'd like to make it to the finals in order to get that spot into March Madness. But let's see what I have picked here. I'm going to take UNLV. I'm going to take Nevada, Colorado State, and Boise State. No surprise there. Pretty chalky. I'm going to take Utah State, Grand Canyon. I'm going to take San Diego State and New Mexico again, another chalk. But here I'm going to take Grand Canyon, and I'm going to take San Diego State. And I'm going to have San Diego State winning the Mountain West tournament. I am very high on a team like Grand Canyon. The A-10, first round, Richmond and St. Bonnie's. Then I'm going to take Fordham and Duquesne. I'm going to take George Mason, and I will be taking Davidson here. In the next round, I'm going to take St. Louis, although they've been a little shaky recently. I'm going to take Dayton. I'll be taking VCU and Davidson over St. Joe's. Then I will be taking St. Louis and VCU, and then VCU upsetting St. Louis in the finals to move on to March Madness. Although I do think St. Louis will probably still end up making a tournament, and both of them, VCU and St. Louis, will. In the WCC, so some of these games have already been played, like I said, but we'll just continue on as to what it is right now. So Gonzaga, and I'm going to take St. Mary's, and I'm going to chalk it and take Gonzaga. In the MVC, Missouri Valley Conference, this has already been completed. Northern Iowa has won. In the MAC, going to go Miami, Ohio. Going to go Toledo, Akron, and Kent. Chalk here again. I'm going to take Miami, Ohio. I'm going to take Akron. Although Kent State, I think, can make a little bit some noise, but I think Akron is the best team in the conference, and I will therefore be picking them to win the conference. And I would not be surprised if Miami, Ohio is left out of the tournament because of their metrics, although I do think that they deserve a spot, especially over a team like we've always talked about in Auburn or like Indiana. Moving on to the AAC, I will be taking Tulane. I'll be taking Charlotte, and then here I'll be taking Tulane again. Florida Atlantic. Here I'm going to take Tulane to go on a nice run in the AAC. Wichita State, although they will be stopped here against South Florida. I got Wichita State winning here, and then the championship I have South Florida winning the whole conference pretty easily. The Big South, High Point has already won. In the CAA, so there was just an upset. UNC Wilmington lost in the first round, in the quarterfinals, their first game, and Charleston lost their first game against Towson. So in the semifinals, I'm going to pick Monmouth, and I will be taking Hofstra, and then Hofstra to win the entire thing. In the Conference USA, I will be taking, in the 8-9 matchup, I'll be taking Missouri State, and I'll be taking New Mexico State. And then Liberty, and as we can see here, as I kind of fill this out, Liberty is the heavy favorites to win this conference. But we'll see. I mean, Sam Houston, or even I'd like Kennesaw State too, but I think the pretty obvious choice here is Liberty. So I got Sam Houston winning here, Western Kentucky, and Liberty, and then Liberty winning it. Patriot League. Navy was just upset, if you guys saw it at the buzzer. I will be picking Boston here to win this conference now. Next up, SoCon. Last matchup is the championship. I'll be taking, give me Furman again to go back to the championship. Southland Conference. I will be taking here in the quarterfinals, the 4v5. I'll be taking Corpus Christi, and I'll be taking Nicholls State. I think this conference here is pretty obvious to everybody that neither of these teams here in the quarterfinals really stand a chance, and the two favorites are obviously McNeese and SF Austin. So in the semifinals, I would be taking those two teams. And then give me SF Austin to win this conference. I know they are the crowd favorite right now, and I know McNeese is the analytical favorite, but I will be going SF Austin to win this conference this year. Now, moving on to the AAC. As we all know, UMBC a few years back, we all know what happened with them. I'll be continuing with them here, and I'll be having Vermont, and I'm going to pick Vermont to win their conference. In the ASUN, Queens won against Central Arkansas, so they will be in the March Madness tournament. In the Big Sky, some of this bracket's already been completed, so let's continue. I will be taking Northern Colorado over Montana, and I'll be taking Weber State over Eastern Washington. Then, in the semifinals, I'm going to go with an upset here. I am going to take Northern Colorado, and I'm going to take Weber State. And then I'll have Northern Colorado winning this conference. Then in the Big West, I'm going to take UCSD, and I'm going to take UC Santa Barbara. Then in this quarterfinals, I'll be taking San Diego, and I'll be taking Santa Barbara. So some upsets here in this bracket. I'll be taking UC Irvine, though, and I will be taking Hawaii. And then this ends up being pretty chalk. I am going to take UC Irvine. In the Horizon League, I will be taking in this matchup here Wright State, and I'm going to take Robert Morris and then Wright State to win it all. In the Ivy League, I'm going to take Yale, who's the heavy favorite, and I'm going to take Harvard. These are the really only two teams in the Ivy League this year, and with that being said, I'm going to take the heavy favorite, which is Yale. In the MAC, we're in the championship. It's either Merrimack or Siena. Siena is really good. I like how the roster has been structured this year. However, Merrimack is the more well-rounded team, and I will be taking them to win the MAAC conference. In the MEAC conference, I'm going to take Norfolk State to win the first round quarterfinals. For them, I'm going to take Morgan State, and I'm going to take NC Central. Howard is the heavy favorite, as we can see here, to win the conference. However, I'm going to have them being upset by Norfolk State, and then Morgan State to win again here. And then I'm going to have Norfolk State winning the entire conference. Go on a little bit of a run here. Then in NEC, LIU, as some of you may know, has already clinched a spot in March Madness because Mercyhurst is not eligible to make the tournament. And I think LIU is still going to want to win their conference, I'd hope. So I'm going to pick LIU to win the conference and obviously make it to the tournament. In the OVC, the Ohio Valley Conference, the tournament has already been decided. Tennessee State beat Morehead State. Congratulations to them. They will be moving on to March Madness. Then in the SWAC Conference, I'm going to take... Actually, this game was already played. I am pretty sure that, yes, Alcorn State won this game. So we'll pick Alcorn State there. We will pick Grambling to win here. Mississippi Valley State is one of the worst teams in the entire nation. I'm going to pick Alcorn State to go on and beat Prairie View. They look pretty good today, so I watched some of that game, so maybe they'll continue a little bit of a run here. I'm going to pick Jackson State. Bethune-Cookman is the favorite here, but either way, whoever wins this conference is going to be an obvious 16 seed, so this conference is pretty irrelevant, but we'll still make our picks here. We'll be taking Alabama A&M. I'm going to take Florida A&M, and I'm going to take Arkansas Pine Bluff. Bethune-Cookman, then I'm going to take Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman to win the conference. Then I'll be looking at the Summit League. So, as we all know, North Dakota State just beat North Dakota to win their conference, so they will be in the tournament. In the Sun Belt, also known the Fun Belt, is the conference championship is tonight. I will be picking the obvious choice here, which is Georgia Southern. Just kidding, I'm going to pick Troy. Although Georgia Southern, as we can see, has made a really nice run here, winning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row in 5 days. However, I think they're going to run out of gas tonight and lose to the number 1 seed, Troy. Then, finally, to cap it all off, we have the WAC Conference, and Utah Valley and Cal Baptist are, the 2 heavy favorites to win this conference. Although I watched a little bit of Utah Tech this year, and they were okay, but really it's most likely going to be Utah Valley in my opinion. I think Cal Baptist, their percentage here is a little too high in my opinion, but let's go through it. I'm going to have Abilene Christian winning the first round. I will have UT Arlington winning the quarterfinals, as well as Utah Tech. I'll be taking Utah Valley against Arlington. I am going to take Utah Tech over Cal Baptist. And then finally, to cap it off, Utah Valley winning their conference here. So those are my predictions for the conference tournaments. I will be making another video tomorrow as the brackets get updated after the games get played tonight. And I'm looking forward to hearing your guys' opinions and your predictions down below in the comments. Be sure to check out this website, Odds Gods. It is, in my opinion, the best bracket predictor out there. You can even go through and predict the current bracket, as I think this is as of the ESPN bracket. So be sure to take a look at this website. Very analytical. I like going through it and reading the numbers here. So once again, thank you for watching. Please let me know your thoughts down below. Goodbye.